Welcome to another episode of Business Beyond Borders with the Luxembourg Mind. Today we're talking to Patrick Malget of Taxx.lu. In 2017, Patrick was struggling with his taxes and he realized there was a problem to solve. That's when he co-founded Taxx.lu. Since then, he's also founded Salary.lu, Facture.lu, and I guess many more to come. Patrick has a really exciting story to share. Let's go hear directly from Patrick. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast.
Welcome for the invitation.
I'm very excited to have you here. I'm going to start with the big question. You were living the Luxembourgish dream. You were a teacher at Lycée Technique de Bonneau. We know that teachers in Luxembourg get paid better than most places. You had a life of stability, but you quit all of that and jumped into the world of entrepreneurship. How does this happen?
Good question. It was always my plan in Luxembourg to become a teacher. So since I was at Luxembourgish high school, the plan was always, okay, I will become a teacher in economics. So I did my studies to do that. I came back to Luxembourg. I started a job with Luxembourg Wort, Luxembourg's biggest newspaper, because it was my plan to become a teacher, but I wanted to have worked in the private sector for at least 3 years. So after 3 years at Luxembourg Wort, I quit. I did my exams to become a teacher. I became a teacher, and why I am here now. In 2017, I was lost with my tax return because I'm basically not a tax expert, and so being lost with the tax return after doing 5 years of studies in economics, in being a teacher in economics, I was like, okay, if I have that problem, most probably others have the same problem. So in my head, I was thinking about an idea, how can this get solved? And I wrote, just for fun, a business plan. And the more I had look into the numbers, the more I was like, okay, this has to work, basically. There's need. Government is not doing their job, because it was still quite difficult to do the tax return with what they are providing. And so I met the right people, and I launched this during my evenings. So during the day, I was a teacher. In the early evenings, I was a father, and in the late evenings, I was working on tax with my associates, and we launched this in 2018. And after 2-3 years, so until 2020, it was a side project, and in 2020, it became so huge that I had to take a decision. And so I quit teaching, I quit my public servant job, and I went full-time into this adventure.
Amazing. That's a great story. I think it's a lot of inspiration for people who are thinking about a side gig and they don't want to quit their job yet. The way you scale. And from what I remember, this is also something where you've not really secured funding. You just did everything by yourself from scratch organically.
Exactly. Basically, it was all bootstrapped, so we had no funding at all. I think my initial investment in the company was like, I don't know, 500 euros from my credit card for Facebook marketing at that time. And every euro we got back, we reinvested it into marketing. So the first years we did not get any money out of this. We spent a lot of time, we invested a lot of time, but we did not invest any money. It was all bootstrapped, and could be like a break for really expanding, but on the other side, it's also I think it was very good because you are thinking about every euro you are spending, and you're not spending into everything, and it worked like this. But of course, it worked because my associates, they had another job, they had another company, and I had still my salary and my job as a teacher. So basically. Okay. I did not need money at that time out of the company to live. So that was a huge advantage I had.
Okay. From my vantage point, it seems like you're out there hunting for problems. Taxx.lu, Salary.lu, Facture.lu. It feels like you're finding problems in the systems and going after them with a vengeance. How does this manifest?
Yeah, basically, Taxx is a good example. There was a problem, or a lot of people have a problem, so we are trying to solve it. Salary.lu is quite the same. Basically, Salary.lu is a project that my associates started before I was also on board of that project. There, the need was basically they had trouble with their fiduciary for the payroll for their company. So instead of looking for another fiduciary, they were developing an own tool to do the salaries on their own, because you don't need basically a fiduciary to do payroll. So they created they developed something on their own that they used in their company, and at some level they were like, okay, it's working for us, works also for other SMEs or startups. And Factor.lu, it's the same. Basically, it's an online invoicing tool they developed for their own needs, and now, it's also a standalone company. Would be nice to have more time to further work on it, but we are using it internally, and it works perfectly. It's linked to open banking, so basically, the system automatically detects if an invoice has been paid or not. You can send automated reminders to your customers. So it's working great, but with a little bit more time, it could even work greater.
Okay, it sounds like you have a really exciting roadmap ahead of you. But looking at the path behind you, you took a big risk when you quit a stable job and moved to into the world of entrepreneurship. You must have had some ups and downs over the years. Can you talk to us about some of those challenges you faced and how you overcame them?
There are ups and downs, but I have to admit that I'm quite lucky. There were more ups than downs, but of course, from time to time, you are asking yourself, okay, is this work worth all the stress, all the work? Wouldn't it be better just to do your teacher job that you loved and have a lot less stress? But at the end, what are the downs? I think when you're starting a company bootstrapped without fundings, cash is always a problem.
Yes.
So over the last years, it was always the hunt for cash or to pay the invoices, even the VAT invoice or the tax invoices a little bit later, just to work with that cash, so the government could get more money maybe next year. So what stressed me the most over the last years was definitely the cash problem.
Okay, but it seems like you've come through it. You're here. You're doing all right.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we found solutions. There's always a way, but of course you have to plan a little bit, and we could have grown maybe faster with more cash on the account. But still, it was a very good lesson learned to handle the missing cash all the time.
Okay, fantastic. Could you walk us through an average day in the life of Patrick, in the life of a serial entrepreneur?
Average days, there are no average days, but basically the advantage of my job is that every day you have a new idea, and every day you don't need to ask your manager or whoever to realize that idea, so you can just go on. So an average, basically my average day is in the morning I'm getting the kids ready for school, I bring them to school, and then at 8:15 I'm in the office. And then classical day, checking emails, check with the team what is on the agenda, finding new ways to develop the product. I'm doing also a lot of because we're also an insurance agent with Lux. So I'm also until now basically I was the only agent in the team. So I had a lot of calls with customers to tell them about tax optimization, how they can lower down their taxes. Now we hired 2 more agents, so now we are also doing tax optimization, but also normal insurances, cars, houses, and so on. So a lot of my time last year was contacting our customers and tell them about how they could lower down their taxes. But yeah, average day, there is no average day. It's changing all the time, and that's what is so interesting about the job. It's not an 8 to 4 o'clock job where you're doing all day the same stuff. It's changing all the times, and you have really the liberty and the flexibility to do whatever you think it's the best for the company. And I think that's something that gives a really good motivation to go on every day. And I feel lucky to do what I'm doing, and there's no morning when I'm getting out of bed that I'm like, oh no, I don't want to go to office today. I love basically what I do, and that's I'm feeling really lucky about this.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Can I move gears a bit, ask you about Luxembourg as a market for entrepreneurship? What are some of the advantages that Luxembourg has for entrepreneurs? Like if you were to talk to someone about the advantages that Luxembourg gives you as an entrepreneur, or would give a budding entrepreneur, what are some of the advantages of Luxembourg?
I think it really depends on the product or the service you are selling, but basically the advantage of Luxembourg is that it's an entire country So basically, you can use it as a sandbox for maybe a service that you can enroll over entire Europe or even the entire world. So you have an entire country where you can test your idea, where there's a market, there's some money in this market. Basically, Luxembourg is the salaries are on average quite high, so people are willing to spend good money for good services, good products. So I think that's already an advantage, even if you don't leave the country. For example, Taxx.lu, we don't have on the roadmap to go to Germany or to Belgium or to France or whatever. In Germany, for example, there's Taxx.de, which is unicorn, has a unicorn valuation of 1 billion euros already. So we won't go on their market with our little team and try to convince the Germans to do the tax return on Taxx. And at the same time, there's also an advantage because Luxembourg is so small, so they won't come to Luxembourg neither to piss in our court. Basically, Luxembourg is big enough to do business here, to develop an idea and to make a company work, and it's too small that big players are coming to Luxembourg and take over the market. Okay. So it's quite a niche we have here, and the entire country is a niche. So that's also an advantage, and the other advantage is, of course, the possibilities you have to get in touch with stakeholders or decision takers in Luxembourg it's quite easy to get in touch with someone from tax administration, from another administration. There's a good ecosystem with the House of Startups and all this stuff. And the Luxembourg startup community or entrepreneur community, it's quite a small community because we are a small country. So everyone knows someone that could help if you have an issue with anything. And that's also an advantage we have here in Luxembourg. Okay. But of course, there's also a lot we could do better.
Okay. I'll come to you about the things we can do better. About the advantages, the second one that you mentioned, which is it being a small place, even having easy access to people. I think that I've heard before, and even on the podcast, I've managed to get some people that I would not be able to get in other places. The first point you mentioned was quite refreshing. I haven't heard that one before. The fact that it's a good sandbox, great place to experiment and grow and validate an idea before expanding to the rest of Europe. Secure in the idea that larger players aren't going to come and invade your space. That's a very good advantage.
Yeah, I think for us it's the advantage that we are doing it only in this country, and there is no other one coming into our country. But if I take another example, like I'm not 100% sure that was the plan at the beginning, but Tom Michels from Salonki, I think they validated also their idea here in Luxembourg first, and now they're expanding in entire Europe. So Luxembourg is a good place to start a business, to validate an idea, to try it out, and then if it's working in Luxembourg, why wouldn't it work in Spain, in Italy, in France, in Germany, especially for products where you don't need to change the product for every country. What in taxation is impossible. Basically, I cannot go with the same solution we have right now here for Luxembourg, go to Germany, and after one day, here's the German tax return. It's an entire different system, so impossible we would have to develop from scratch a solution for Germany. So we are happy in Luxembourg and we will stay in Luxembourg.
But I suppose you have the underlying infrastructure in place. Should you have to expand, like the software, the system?
Yeah, we have tools in our system that we could also deploy in Germany, but the main calculation, so basically the brain of Taxx, the calculation of taxes, that one is different in every country. So we would need to start from scratch in Germany, in Belgium, and in every country basically, because every tax system is different.
Okay. Now, about 2 weeks ago, we were on a panel discussion together with JCI, CYEL. We discussed some areas where Luxembourg could improve for entrepreneurs, and you alluded to it just a moment ago. Can I ask you to go over some of those points?
I think what was mentioned in that panel was to incorporate the company in Luxembourg. It's quite, I wouldn't say difficult, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of paperwork and a lot of different administrations that are involved, and you have to go to notary and everything. So that could be improved by a lot already. Another thing that for our company was always a problem is the cash, as I mentioned, and the administration that claims the quickest for their cash and it's their money. I'm totally okay with that. It's a VAT administration. So basically, they are claiming that money very quickly. Instead of giving us a little bit more time to work with that money, next year they will get double of what they would get today. So if there could be some improvements, I don't want more grants or subsidies or all this stuff. It's also very nice, but we can come to that as well. But give us a little bit more time to work with the money we already earned.
Okay.
We earned it. It's not our money. I know those 17% are going to the state. And I'm totally fine with that, but give us a little bit more time to work with that money, to get more money, or even so we can recruit someone.
Yeah.
Basically, if I have to give 50K to VAT administration, with those 50K, I could have paid someone I would hire for an entire year.
Yeah.
And maybe that person would pay taxes, and so basically the money would go back to the state. Okay. And then subsidies, with Taxx.lu, we never asked for a grant, but we did with salary.lu. And I'm very thankful that we got this money. But the application you have to file for that grant, it takes so much time. It's basically an entire business plan, pages and pages of paperwork. So basically we were working an entire month on getting that grant, and during that time I would have preferred to work on the product instead of working for that application. Yeah. But of course I'm very thankful that the Luxembourg government is giving us that money to hire people and to develop our product.
So the solutions that you propose, they all seem to be very administrative, regulatory driven, and it seems like it doesn't seem that hard to implement. So I'm hoping someone listens to the podcast and is able to execute them, because it seems like it shouldn't be that hard to implement these, no?
You mean from the state?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, basically not. I think there has been some good news now from the government that they want to keep pushing in the simplification of all those administrative procedures. But I know that it takes a lot of time in Luxembourg to change those things and to change the mindset of administrations and everything. And as you can see for the tax return, it's the same. They are talking for decades about simplifying it about getting it digital, and still we are 2024, and they have a solution now, but honestly, it's not the best one they could do with all the power they have.
Yes. Okay. You mentioned something about the entrepreneurial community here, and so on that, if you were to look around the Luxembourgish market, are there any businesses, any new ventures, any entrepreneurs that excite you?
As I mentioned, Salonki is a good example of, they are doing really great. Those guys are really taking over Europe. They started very small as well. So that's one fascinating job they are doing. Another good example is Jacques Laurent with LuxCaddy. It's an online supermarket. He founded 15 years ago as a startup, 2 guys launching that business. On the other side, there's Cactus, Luxembourg's biggest supermarket. That gave it a try as well, and Cactus failed with an online supermarket, and those guys are still there. They sold their company a few weeks ago. I think that it's public now, so I can tell it on the podcast. So basically, 2 guys launching something entirely new, not coming from the business, and on the other side there is Cactus, Luxembourg's biggest supermarket, and they fail. It's quite fascinating how small players can take over at least that niche and become a really success story. And also now they sold it, so they worked a lot on it over all those years, and now they got the reward for it.
Okay, great examples. I'm gonna look them up a bit more. Tom, of course, we know he was also on the panel with us. Great. They're doing really well. When do you think Luxembourg is gonna have its first unicorn?
I don't know the price Talkwater got for when they sold the company a few months ago to Hootsuite. I don't think it was for 1 billion euros. But maybe them, but now they are sold. Maybe Salonki. I have no clue. Basically, I don't know if the goal of every startup in Luxembourg is to become a unicorn.
Sure.
I think the main goal is to succeed and to provide a good product. And if the product is good, I think, and if the market is not just limited to Luxembourg, but potentially to the entire world, unicorns can be born very quickly.
Okay. Well, this brings us to our fun segment, our rapid fire segment. I'm going to ask you a few questions, give you some options, just pick whatever answer is at the spur of the moment. There's no right or wrong answer. The first fun question.
Okay.
It's hypothetical. Imagine that in a few years you sell your business for billions of dollars, billions of euros, and you choose, you have a path ahead of you. You can choose to either start another business or you can go back to teaching.
I loved it being a teacher, but I love my entrepreneurial life as well, and I have so many ideas. Basically, every day I have an idea, and my dream would be basically to have a lot of money and just so every day I could launch a new idea, or people coming towards me and tell about their idea, and if I think it's a good idea, I would invest in them.
Okay.
So probably I wouldn't go back teaching, classical teaching, but maybe like business angel or something
or like a startup incubator.
An own startup incubator, or what I will also want to do in my life in the next 20 years, take over a more manual company, something with I don't know how do you say in English, a carpenter or something like this. So more not just bits and bytes, but something manual.
Getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Now, if you're working on something critical, something with a deadline, and you really need to focus, would you go early bird or night owl?
I would prefer night owl, but with kids, it's harder. I have this agreement with my wife that normally I'm back home at 19 o'clock, but I know that on my side, I prefer working when it's dark outside, the sun is going down. Mornings, it's always stressful to get the kids ready and everything. So even arriving in the office, I'm not fresh anymore, and I prefer when sun is going down. Employees are leaving the office, and then I can just turn out the lights and be in the dark. So that would be best. But with kids, it's
harder.
It's not always easy.
Okay. Well, luckily you have a good schedule, and I think you're productive the way you are, so you're good. If you had to pick one superpower between insane tech knowledge or top-notch people skills, which one would you pick?
I think people skills, because basically I have no tech power at all. So I'm not a dev. I don't know coding and nothing. So it's better to have people skills, so you can hire the right people for the right job and keep them together and work for the same. Towards the same direction, and I think that would be the best superpower. Because with that superpower, you are not alone, and you can do better than just having the superpower of coding.
Sure.
I think that superpower maybe comes with AI as well.
Maybe.
There's a running joke here with my devs. I'm telling them, I think next year your job will be done by ChatGPT or other solutions.
Okay, maybe.
They are still quite confident that that won't be the case, and I think as well you still need some humans.
Some humans,
to do the final job. But it can help, of course. AI is a super tool to help people.
All right. Well, good answer. You are starting a new gig, and these guys are going to be paying you for something. How would you choose to get paid from a tax perspective? You could choose between cash, equity, gold, or any other commodity.
I think the thing I need most is time. So if you can pay me in time, that would be great. And from a tax perspective, that's interesting as well, because you don't pay taxes on time.
Yeah, sure.
I prefer the cash because cash is king.
Cash is king, yeah.
So basically, give me the cash, and then we'll find ways to invest it wisely, so taxes won't hurt too much.
Great. Last question from this segment. What do you enjoy more, Christmas season or tax season?
Yeah, because the government changed the deadline for tax returns last year from 31st of March to 31st of December. So basically, tax season and Christmas season, it's at the same time from last year on. So I like that time, but yeah, it's quite challenging for the entire team because everyone is waiting until the end of the year to do their taxes now, and at the same time, yeah, it's Christmas, so people want to be with their families, and but I like tax season. I like when it's when there's a lot to do and when there are challenging times. So basically, I prefer tax season, which at the same time now is Christmas season. So
Great.
It's perfect.
Great.
It's my gift from Santa Claus.
Fantastic. Well, this brings us to our final question for the evening. It's the advice segment. You know, you look around, there are a lot of people working in corporate gigs. They want to get into entrepreneurship. They want to, start something. They have a passion project. But, it's hard to take that risk. What advice would you give to people who are looking to start their entrepreneurial venture, but have to consider the risk of quitting a safe job?
I can only talk for my part. So I had the advantage of being a public servant. Being a public servant, you can ask 4 years of non-paid holidays.
Yeah.
So I knew that if it would not turn out, I could go back and being a teacher. So that gave me already some peace of mind.
Sure.
On the other side, best would be to do it like as we did it. So basically, you are launching something beside in the evenings. A lot of work. You will be tired and everything.
Yeah.
And you quit your normal job as soon as you have enough income to pay you this, maybe in the best case the same salary than before.
Yeah.
But of course it takes a lot of time. So my advice would be do it early. Doing it with kids at home, it's 3 times more challenging.
Yes.
So if I would have changed something over the last, let's say 15 years, I would have started this before before becoming a dad. Okay. Because kids, of course, they take a lot of time, and you want also to have time with them. But yeah, being without kids and doing this would be easier. Would have been easier.
Okay, that makes complete sense. There's one more burning question I've had for a while in my head, outside of all of this. Should they be teaching taxes in schools?
Yeah, they should. But basically, what is needed in the Luxembourg school system is a very basic financial class of financial money, all the stuff you need your entire life. It's not teaching every specialty at school. So there are some specialities where you're doing this, or where you're also doing a basic tax return. But most of the students of the young people don't have any classes about economy, about finances, about taxes, about investing, about banking, about everything. And I think it's one of the most important skills you need, because basically you need them for your entire life. It's not like learning, I don't know, nothing against languages, but languages, we need them to talk, to communicate. But do we really need to know all the grammar exceptions that exist in the French language, or do we need to learn about literacy? It's good to have some common knowledge about it, but I think they need also some common knowledge about how life and money works. And,
yes. I've always thought some personal finance, some basic information on how to file your taxes.
Exactly. That would be very nice, and that's why also I have. I'm still working with some schools from time to time, where I'm going into classes and tell them about what we are doing here and about the tax return more in general. Okay. I like it. I love my job being a teacher, and sometimes it's funny to be back in the school. In the classroom, and talk to the young people in Luxembourg.
That's fantastic. Well, on one side, I think it would be great if they were teaching this in schools. But on the other side of things, if they were teaching this in schools, you wouldn't have struggled in 2017 with your tax returns, and this whole idea wouldn't have formulated, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, because so there are those people. There are two kinds of people, basically. You have those where the parents already know how to file a correct tax return and how you can optimize them, so they get the information from their parents. And on the other hand, there are also people that are totally lost, also expats. People arriving in Luxembourg, they are totally lost with taxes, because every country is different, and there's no one telling them how it works and what they could do better. Yeah. So one of our goals at Taxx is also to help those people to optimize the tax situation. Basically, you have different possibilities to lower down your taxes. If no one is telling you about this, It's not tax administration that comes to you and tells you how you could save taxes. So it's part of our service we are providing on Taxx, and I think that's one of our key success drivers as well.
Well, I will file my 2023 taxes next week.
Perfect.
Well, this has been a pleasure, Patrick. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.